Hello, my name is Andres Delgado. I'll be presenting my Statistic final project. I did a one-prop Z test. The question is, do you own a gaming console? I'd used a Statistic study during 2012 and 2016 where they showed that 40% of the United States household own a gaming console. So I chose the project because I love video games, and as a game console owner and a regular user, I always wonder what percent of people own a gaming console. My research question is, do you own a gaming console? My data represents the percent of people who own a gaming console, and my alpha is 0.05, and that I decided to use that because it is a standard. So just to describe my sampling procedure, I conducted a poll on Instagram where a random sample of 50 people participated and replied to my poll. So the population is all the people, and the sample is the 50 random people who participated in the poll on Instagram. To avoid bias, I indiscriminately ask people of all backgrounds, ethnicity, gender, ages, races, and locations if they own a gaming console. So this is what my data looks like. So 28 responded yes, 22 responded no, to a total of 50. If you look at it in a graph or a pie chart, 56% represents that yes, and then the 44% represents those who voted no. The hypothesis is that my HO P is equal 0.4, and this comes from the perception that the proportion of people who own a gaming console is 40%, and HA, its P has to be greater than 0.40%, which comes from the proportion of people who own a gaming console is greater than 40%. Here's my citation, which is a Statistic study that I was talking before, where 40% of the U.S. households own a gaming console. So to check the conditions, my data was collected randomly, so it was random and independent. So condition number 1 was checked. Condition number 2 is large sample. So if we multiplied 10 times 50, which is my sample size, you get 500. So this second condition is also checked. And for the big population, N times P has to be greater than 10. So in my case, 50 times 0.40, it's 20, so it's greater than 10. And in this case over here, following the big population, it's N has to be N times 1 minus B has to be greater than 10. So when I use my my numbers, it comes to 30. So all conditions were met. To show my calculations, here's my P, here's my P hat, and my sample size. So under standard error, I'd use my P, which is 0.40 times 1 minus 0.40 divided by 50, which is a sample size. This comes to 0.069. So for the z-score, it's p hat minus po over the standard error. So I use my 0.56 from my p hat and 0.40 from my p, and then this is over 0.69 from my standard error, which is a total of 2.31. I also added down here the p-value, which is 0.0105. and some of my calculations on my calculator and graphs. So my z-score is 2.31 and my p-value is 0.0105. So I also added over here the p-value graph. Now since the p-value is 0.0105 and it's less than the alpha, which is 0.05, the conclusion is that I rejected HO, or we rejected HO. I rejected HO because there is enough statistically significant evidence to reject HO. Since my p-value is 0.0105, I concluded that the proportion of the people that own a gaming console is greater indeed than 40%. I also completed a confidence interval where I use 0.56 minus plus or minus 1.96. This is from the standard C. Times 0.069. So it gave me 42.24 and 69 times 69.76. So down here is that on my calculator to also, so you can also see it. So I am 95% confident that the proportion of the people who own a gaming console is between 42.25% and 69.76%. I have learned from this project that although the number of people who own a gaming console is higher than 40%, there are many people that do not own one, and I thought that almost everyone I know own one, But this has proven me wrong, and by doing this project, so it was very interesting to learn about the preferences of the people I have around, and I probably will use the polling method again. Thank you so much.